Hi, welcome or welcome back. My name is Yu Wing, or you can call me You Win or Win. I'm very happy to be here with you today and to have this opportunity to share with you and to be with you energetically and virtually. Yeah. So I'd like to start with a quick practice, something that I do, something that's in my playlist of things to help me check in with my body. And so this one is: what is your experience? And is there a song that describes what you're experiencing? You can take a moment, you can tune in, you might close your eyes or soften your gaze. I feel warm, and I think the first song that came to mind is Warm It Up, Chris, by Criss Cross, or Warm It Up by Criss Cross. Um, yeah, and it's just a fun way for me to tune in and to recognize how I'm feeling in the moment and to use my creativity and to connect it to music, which I love. So, thank you. And just a tool if you want to add it to your toolbox or your playlist. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about spiritual teams or spiritual guides. So, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, one of my Rise and Thrives, and she was asking me about Reiki because they had offered to send her some Reiki. And she asked, "Oh, when you practice, do you call in like any spirits?" And I said, and I thought about it, and like specifically when I practice Reiki, I don't, but um, I focus on the energy centers or the chakras. Um, but I do refer to my spiritual team as my spirit waters because I love water. I'm a water sign. And if the idea of a spiritual team is new to you, I came across it the first time I worked with a medium who wasn't my mom. And she told me that everyone has different spiritual beings who are with you. And depending on like what you're going through and what your role is, you may have more or less at any given time. So she was saying that people who have spiritual gifts or spiritual abilities tend to have more spirit guides to support them in their work. And then, if you're going through a challenging time, you may have more than when you're going through a peaceful time. And so for me over the years, and that was probably 2015 when I worked with that medium, and she had told me about that. I can't sense, I don't have the gift of mediumship. So I don't hear spirit, I don't see spirit, I don't um, have interactions with spirit or spirits. And spirits are sort of the non physical essence, I would say, of a soul or of like a soul across lifetimes or universes. Um, so, whereas my mom, when she does readings with someone, she's with someone, she can communicate with spirits who are around the living person, the client, and then she can channel what the spirit is trying to say to the client, right? Okay. So I can't do that. I can sometimes sense if there are spirits around me, but it's more of a very like sudden sort of change in energy. And this has been my work of trying to discern my energy from other people's, including the energy of spirit. So sometimes I can sense if there are spirits around me. I can sense if it's a friendly environment or if it's not. And so, depending on how I'm feeling, I may ask for the spirits to leave. But I also have a core group of spiritual beings who I refer to as my spirit waters. Okay. So, as I've sort of explored and tried to develop a relationship with them, I have invited spiritual beings that I have felt resonance with. So I have invited ascended masters. So those are people who have become enlightened, or who were enlightened when they were here on earth. And so that could be the Buddha, that could be um, Jesus Christ, right? Those are known as ascended masters. I also have invited ancestors. And so, ancestors of mine who have had spiritual gifts, who have my highest, good at heart, or they want what's best for me. And so, I, I include like my maternal great grandmother, my grandmothers, my grandfathers, my father, right? So they're sort of a part of this spiritual team of mine. And then I think I have been told from the medium that I have like non-human, like that they didn't have a human history. I don't know if they ever were. They might be like star seeds or light workers of some sort, but that they might be there. So I'm like, okay, I'm open to that if they have my best intentions at heart. And then I have also included Deepama. She is a woman, she's considered a householder, who did not ordain within a monastery, but she achieved enlightenment. And so part of it is that most of the beings who have become enlightened within Buddhism have um, gone through being ordained and then in the monastery have had the conditions to be able to be enlightened. And so for her, like living in India with her daughter, um, she was able to become enlightened. And so it was just one of those very rare role models that you hear about, and especially as a woman, because I think they talk a lot about enlightened beings being men. So um, she is a part of my spirit waters. And then I didn't ever consider heroes because I didn't really ever think about heroes as I was growing up. But Mr. Fred Rogers, or Mr. Rogers, is somebody that I feel an affinity with. And we are birthday twins. He's also born on March 20th. And so, as I learned more about him, I invited him to be a part of my spirit waters and to guide me and to support me through things. So, sometimes when I do coaching, before I get into a session, part of my preparation work is to connect with my spirit waters and then to connect with the spiritual team of my client. And so, how I've imagined that is if I'm standing in front of my client and then I have spiritual beings next to me and then behind me, right? And so, not that it has to be an army, but just that I have, like, I show up, like, I roll deep with spirit, right? And so, I imagine that I'm meeting with my client energetically before a session, and I ask them, is it okay for me to connect with your spiritual team through the support and help of my spiritual team to be able to support you best that I can in our session? So, depending on what I hear, then I will have our spiritual teams meet each other, and then I ask for their guidance as I go throughout a session. And so, these are some of the ways that um, I've developed a relationship with my spiritual team. And every time I do a yoga asana practice or the postures, I will take a moment at the end to honor and appreciate my spirit waters. And then one of the things that happened as I was on my journey and I met my twin is that I had these meditations where I would communicate with his higher self or his true self, and the presence of his spiritual team was with me and with us. And so I had asked his true self in meditation and his spirit team if they would also support me and guide me. And if you're familiar with the twin flame or twin soul concept, um, I am him and he is me. And so for me then, it made sense that his spiritual team would support me and my spiritual team would support him. And so I refer to his spiritual team as Spirit Council. So I have both Spirit Waters and Spirit Council that I appreciate and will invite in. Anytime I do, um, I don't know if it's anytime, but there will be different situations where I will call in the presence of my spirit waters and spirit council. But anytime I can dedicate the merits of a meditation practice, of a yoga practice, then I also do that. And I ask for them to guide us towards our highest spiritual evolution. And those are just some of the ways that I interact with my spiritual team. I'm curious if you've ever done any work to meet with your own spiritual team, if you have a name that you refer to, if there's like a main figure in your team, if it's changed, if or who. I'm curious. So feel free to share with me if you feel like it, if it feels right, and feel free to take what resonates and what doesn't. Just feel free to leave it. And I hope that wherever you are in the world right now, you are healthy and you are safe. And I hope that you know and or will come to believe that who you are, exactly as you are, is worthy of love. I look forward to connecting with you again. I'm sending you a big hug. And until next time, take good care. Okay, bye bye.